Thank you very much, Sarah. Mo,
Thank you for having me.
it's a great honor to have you with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Peace Talks.
The honor is mine. Thank you.
Yes. And on the theme of trust matters. Mo, it's a great honor to have you with us, really. You have such a breadth of experience across business, philanthropy, and your passion today, which is the promotion of good governance. And especially, I think, throughout it all, the promotion of ethical and reasonable leadership in the world, not just in Africa, but around the world. I think you'll agree with me, Mo, that we are facing a profound crisis of trust in the world today. Trust in our institutions, trust in our political systems, our economic systems, trust in each other, and trust in our leadership. We have a leadership crisis. How would you describe that crisis, and what kind of leadership do we need to meet the challenges of today and the ones we're going to be facing in the future?
Well, it is a very serious problem, Scott, I believe. And we look around us. I mean, for a number of years, I was trying to focus on Africa. Thought we have a lot of issues in Africa. And then I found that the ground is breaking under us in Europe also. And the problem of governance, which I used to think of essentially as an African issue, actually it is a global issue. My second home is UK, and it's a total mess. Today we have we are in court, because you don't know, we are in court today, and the High Court is trying to find out or mediate between the executive branch and the parliament. The executive branch want to close down the parliament, and the parliament say there is important things going on here. Why you close our voice? I mean, you talk about sovereignty. Whose sovereignty? And it is very sad. Who would have thought that what's claimed to be the oldest democracy in the world will end up in court and trying to sort out this constitutional crisis. In France, we had the yellow vests, this big crisis, total misunderstanding between the governments and government and the people, lack of communication, lack of trust. And even though the initial cause of the protest was dealt with, protests continued, and they actually became violent even. Then I'll not even talk about United States. I mean, it's obvious what's going on there. But all around us, we can see the rise of strong men. Suddenly it became very fashionable. We thought that was fashionable in the early 1900s. We used to fall in love with strong men around us, and we saw the rise of fascism in all its different forms. And now we see a trend, strong men are rising, allowing us, thumping the table and make my country great again. My country is supreme. It's me first and don't care. And that starts to spread like fire everywhere. We look around, and even in Europe, which claim it has its European values system, we see what's happening in Poland, we see what's happening in Hungary, and we say, what is the sense of values there? Turkey, Russia. I can just keep counting. I mean, in Africa, I had also a few people who look at what's going on in the Philippines and Russia and the White House and say, oh, me too. And I just don't know how some sectors of our population fall in love with those kind of people because they have a constituency. They have a constituency. They came to power by vote. And I don't need to remind you that Hitler came to power democratically.
Sure.
Yeah. And so what is happening? What's happening about liberal democracy? What is producing and what is going on?
So what form of leadership do we need to get out of this mess?
We need a totally different leadership. Clearly, we are failing the people. And what happened, I think, in politics is we became extremely short-sighted, extremely short-term. We have these rapid cycles of election. And you get elected, you have a grace period of 1 year to do whatever you want to do, and then the honeymoon is finished, and you start to prepare to the next election. And people just care about grabbing votes. What grab votes I offer? Most likely in Western society, I'm going to reduce your taxes. Okay, I'm going to put more money in your pockets. At a time when actually everybody complains about inequality. How are we going to cut taxes and still deal with inequality? There is a contradiction in terms here. We talk about universal health care, which under strain because of funding. State pension schemes in Europe are all broken. Are all broken. They are bankrupt. Nobody will admit that, but they are bankrupt. People need to remember that pensions was invented when the average span of life was less than 70 years. And the economist said, okay, you retire at 60 years, you're going to live for 20 years, we're going to deal with that. Now, you live for average span of life is 83, 84. Who's going to fund that? And this longer span of life means actually we're going to have a lot more hip replacements, knee replacements, heart replacement. I mean, because as you grow old, frankly, we need a lot of spare parts to sort you out. And who's funding this? So we never had the courage to be honest with our people. You know, the politician never been honest in talking to our people about the issues. And everybody comes just offering tax cuts and then blaming others for whatever problem we have. European Union is a very good example. That was the scapegoat. Every country blames the European Union for their own failings. Absolutely. And then you end up with another institution here which is breaking down. European Union is in danger because everybody, I mean, I asked David Cameron, how could you, they had this referendum in UK about Brexit, yeah? All our politicians in UK spend their political life trashing the European Union. Then suddenly we have a referendum. Then they need to stand up and defend the European Union. How could you defend the European Union? You have been trashing it all your life. Right. So all what you could say is, oh, but I don't want, it's awful, I know, but without, you know, getting out is worse, actually. Right. Is a problem. And of course, the other guy said, oh, this is Project Fear. You have nothing good to say other than frightening us from the alternative, which is a negative way to go.
There's a parallel in Africa that we've seen as well, this attack on civil society, for example. There's a shrinking of the space for civil society in many countries in Africa today, with those same leaders trashing civil society as being the tools of foreign powers. You have a very privileged position to be able to engage directly with heads of state. They listen to you, some of them, and you're very honest with them. You're a very clear and honest sharer of your wisdom. What do you tell them? How do you confront them about that phenomenon where they're trying to close that political space?
This has been a big problem because I don't know if you're aware, many African countries have actually banned the civil society group from receiving any funds from abroad.
Exactly.
If you receive money from Ford Foundation or from whoever, and you get a gift, you will be classified as a foreign agent. Suddenly it's like you are a spy because you got foreign aid. And I found that so obscene because, and I tell our friends in governments, you, Mr. President, I mean, you spend half your life running around in Europe, United States, begging for money. And you receive foreign aid and foreign money. Right. So are you a foreign agent? I mean, why is it fine for you as a country, as a president, to go and beg for foreign money and you are okay? But when civil society receive a little bit of money, oh, you are a foreign agent. Let's be consistent. It's stupid. And of course, they limit the ability of the civil society to work. And I had a lot of arguments with people. Sometimes people claim, oh, one president say, Mo, this is not really civil society. These are political opponents.
Right, right.
We say, why are political opponents? Oh, see this organization, this is a guy trying to start an election, and this is, and we said, okay, let us just try to reach some understanding here. It is true, sometimes civil society is used as a political vehicle, and that's why we trying to sort out a charter for civil society, that we should not behave, we are like an ambulance in a battlefield. We have a big Red Cross on our organizations as civil society. If the government do something good, we'll praise the government and help her. Right. If the government do something wrong, we say this is wrong. That's the role of civil society. Is not a political, because civil society is not seeking power. NGOs doesn't seek power. We're not a political party. So that's something we need to do on us. At the same time, because that gives excuse to some of our interesting leaders to attack civil society, because they are, they are political enemies. Mm-hmm. Well, so both sides have to behave. Right. And we say, guys, let us talk together and reach some kind of a charter, but remove these draconian effects or procedures.
Now, you are one of the most successful business leaders on the planet. And yet, I understand that when you were young, you were quite mistrustful of the business sector.
This is true.
You were quite hesitant to get involved in the business sector.
This is true.
So first of all, what changed? And second of all, what is the role of trust in business, in the private sector? Is it a central feature, or is it something to...
Yeah, I came from a family which we didn't have businessmen or businesswomen in my family. And, and so I always mistrusted business people. I thought they are essentially some kind of thieves or criminals, which may be true in a way. And so
present company excluded.
I'll come to that. So anyway, I ended up being an accidental business. I didn't mean to be a businessman. Oh. I ended up accidentally being a businessman because I hated working for a large company. I decided to have my freedom. I'm a consultant, and then too much work, then I have more people, then suddenly I have a huge company. And so it was not, honestly, I never dreamt or planned to be...
Happy accident.
Yeah, well, fair enough. But so that is a position. But one thing interesting, when I got into business, and I came to know other business leaders, actually there is a lot of wonderful business people around. Let me tell you about the B team. Did you hear about something called the B team, letter B? B team. Anybody heard about that? Raise your hand.
Oh, there's one.
One person. Oh.
Yes.
It's really unfortunate. Okay. The B team is a group of CEOs of companies worldwide, and they came to recognize that plan A for business is not working. Business for profit, only for profit, doesn't work. Business has to work really for the environment and for the people and for the profit. There must be a new mission for business. And to my surprise, this group, when we started 3 or 4 years ago, went up with a huge number. I mean, I can tell you the names of, you'll not believe. We have some of the best top business people in India, in China, in the United States, really big companies. You check our website. What the group is doing, which is very interesting, is it is not preaching anything to anybody. It's saying we have to set the example. Ourselves, we have to implement this agenda, and then we have the right to preach to people. Our agenda based on, first, anti-corruption. And we're campaigning very hard also to eliminate anonymous companies. These are the companies where beneficial ownerships are not known. This is a major problem, especially for us in Africa. This is where dictators and criminals put their money, and nobody can trace it. In Switzerland, you know about this. And
That's finished.
Okay.
That's finished.
Okay. Okay. Actually, United States has more anonymous companies than Panama
Of course.
and Paradise Island. Anyway, that's another issue. But the Congress is looking at this now. That's something we managed Britain. They have a law in Britain, European Union. They started to move. Human rights and slavery, not in the companies, but also in all supply chains. That something must be respected. Then carbon. Each company must produce a plan to show how it's going to comply with net zero. And that's we're working on. So gender issues, inequality. So people put a number of guidelines, and any CEO signing up, joining must sign up and audit what they're doing in that direction. These are big companies. There is Dow Chemicals, there is Pepsi, there is Unilever, there is Alliance, what's called Alliance, there is Virgin Group, there is Tata Group in India, there is some Chinese company. These are a lot of big CEOs around the world coming and saying we do that. So the business is changing. The recent round table of the American CEOs, there's some 150 people go there, for the first time said the purpose of business is not just profit for the shareholders. It is also community and employees. So things are changing. Business people can be afforded, but that is important because our society is fractured now. And we need to heal. We need to bring all those people together. And people need to think long term, not short term. And that's the problem. Actually, I can see contradiction between the new generation and us old people, which is another issue. I don't know if we have time to raise it, but yeah.
Well, that's in fact, my last question to you is that we are, the young people today are the most connected generation ever.
Yeah.
They live in the digital world about as much as they live in the physical world. Our systems of governance are not adapted to help them participate in governance in society. We need to adapt those. It's creating a lot of frustrations, but a lot of opportunities too, to innovate. But we're also, just a few days ago, we marked the 18th anniversary of 9/11. And that means that there's a generation of young people now who are young adults, 18 years old, including my own daughter, who's 18 years old, who have grown up only in a post-9/11 world, who live in a world full of uncertainty, or with the only certainty being that tomorrow is not going to be as good as yesterday.
Yeah.
And yet, the opportunities are there if we have the courage and the leadership that you're promoting so effectively to change our systems. Now, what is your message, your parting message to the youth in the room in particular, about the future, about their role in shaping the new system?
Yeah, we have a very interesting difference of views in that in the West in general, which has been very prosperous after the Second World War, people are afraid of a change. People think that their life, what they had, the children will not have. Right. They're worried about their job, they're worried, so they are absolutely worried about any change. This is why you have the yellow vest and anybody else.
They feel like they're losing something.
Exactly, because they think they are on a slide.
Right.
In our areas in Africa, it's the opposite. Young people want to change because what they see is rotten, and they want to change that. So there is two different sets of fears, let us say, or wishes there. But my general message to the young people, it is your world, it's not us. So stop listening to us. Not to start with, because let us be honest, we have abused this planet, abused this society. It's done, okay? We don't have any much more to say or to do for you. Now, it is your future, I'm not gonna live it here. I'm gonna be not be living when this planet gets out of control. I'll not be here. I'll be laughing in my grave, you know? Well, I'll be crying maybe for you. But it is your future. You need to organize. You need to act. You need to vote. Something very disturbing happened in UK. When we had the referendum, which is a very essential thing for us, all the people above 6 years old, over 90% went and voted. 60 years old and above, 90% voted. And you know what they voted for? Rule Britannia, the past, which they never repeat again. Young people, very low turnout.
Right.
After the result, all the young people demonstrating in the streets. So my message to you, please, go and vote. It's much easier than going out, spending all day demonstrating out there. Use your power and vote, change the system, force what you want to do, and just lose respect for us. Go and do it. Because it's your future, it's not ours. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mo.
Thank you.